Hold on everybody, you see a Jaguar back with GenJag.com, and it's here guys, week 2 of the playoffs, the divisional round. Last week we survived the Buffalo Bills at home, beating them by a score of 10-3, but now we have a little bit tougher competition as we will travel up to Pittsburgh to face off against the Ben Roethlisberger led Steelers. Now earlier this year we beat them 30-9, but that game is all thrown away as we start a new slate and in a much tougher atmosphere, which is the playoffs. The divisional round, it's going to be a lot of fun, and hopefully it's going to be a great game. So let's go ahead and break this down.
It's a foot race, Robinson and Browner, and it's Robinson who wins it. Touchdown Jacksonville, his 14th win. Bortles with top, looking deep for Robinson.
So this game against the Steelers is going to be much tougher than the game that we had against the Bills. The Steelers are a very experienced playoff team, and if you look at the AFC champions from the last 15 years, it's been pretty much Ben Roethlisberger, Peyton Manning, and Tom Brady. And Ben Roethlisberger has a lethal group of weapons. You know, they're the killer bees. They've got Antonio Brown, Le'Veon Bell. They also have Martavis Bryant and Juju Smith-Schuster. Those are all very, very good weapons as opposed to the Bills, who really only had LaShawn McCoy and Kelvin Benjamin. Now, as we all know, earlier in the year, week 5, we beat the Pittsburgh Steelers by a score of 30-9. However, the score looks big and stuff like that, but the game was a lot closer than it seemed. In the third quarter, we were down 9-7 until Ben Roethlisberger decided to throw back-to-back pick sixes and basically put the game out of hand. You know, we scored one touchdown that we basically drove down the field on, but the other touchdown came from a 90-yard run by Leonard Fournette. So while the score did pretty much show a blowout, it definitely was not a blowout if you go back and watch the game. Now obviously that game was won by the defense. 5 interceptions off of Ben Roethlisberger. I mean, those are Madden type numbers, and that was really one of the games where people nationally people opened their eyes and really realized how good this Jacksonville defense is. And this is the best defense in the NFL, no doubt. Now, for whatever reason, we always play the Steelers really, really well. You know what I mean? Like, there are teams like the Steelers and Ravens that no matter how bad we are, we usually play really well against them. And, you know, there's teams like the Chargers that are always, like, beating us. So, we're kind of that team to the Steelers. Ben Roethlisberger is only 1-6 against the Jaguars in Heinz Field. The Jaguars are the only team to beat the Pittsburgh Steelers in Heinz Field twice in 1 year. Most recently being our last playoff run in 2007. So, for whatever reason, we play the Steelers really well no matter how bad we are. Now, I'm not necessarily worried about our defense this game. I'm worried about the offense. You know, we technically have the #1 rushing offense in the NFL, but we are not the best rushing offense. The last 8 weeks, our rush offense has sucked. And quite frankly, our passing game has actually been better than our run game. So what's scary about this game is we are going to have to heavily rely on Blake Bortles. And the thing about Blake Bortles is you never know what Blake Bortles is going to show up each week. You know, you'll have games where Blake Bortles is absolutely lights out and he looks like a great quarterback. But you also have games like last week where he just does not do very well. And it's just a little worrisome to know that a lot of this game will probably rely on Blake Bortles. Now, I think if we put in a game plan a scheme that really plays to Bortles' strengths, I think we can pull off this win. Now, Blake, we all know he does better on first downs. Like, we need to start passing, and we need to start passing early because we can't be doing this run, pass crap and then put our offense in kind of a lingo where we can't get anything going, and all of a sudden at the end of the second quarter, we don't have any points. That's basically what happened at the end of the Bills game, except we were able to put up a field goal at the last drive of the first half. And one annoying thing about last week's game plan is how they really didn't want Blake throwing the ball all downfield. It looked like all his throws were like darts. And, you know, we tried like 2 screens in a row that got for nothing. You know, we just weren't moving the ball well at all. And we need to also get this run game going. Now, a lot of people will say, oh, well, the only reason the run game isn't working is because Blake isn't doing well. That is crap. If the only way our run game works is if Blake Bortles is doing well, then our run game is broken. And our run game is absolutely broken. Like, Leonard Fournette, I don't know what the hell happened to him, but he definitely has been the same player. And it's just our offensive line just isn't getting much push. We're losing one-on-one battles, and that can't happen if we want to have success. Now, to be honest with you, this game, I want to start off throwing the ball a lot. I mean, I know it's going to be really cold there, but, you know, we need to try to get some kind of lead on these guys. Like, if we can get a 7-10 point lead, we are probably the best team in the NFL that plays with lead, because if we can force the other team into a position where they start trying to pass the ball against our defense, that's when his turnovers start coming in. You know what I mean? That's when, you know, they start holding the ball and the defensive linemen are able to come in there and get sacks. Like, we need to be able to develop a lead, because if we go down 10-0, then it'll be very, very dangerous for us, because all of a sudden you're going to have to score points, and that's not what our offense does very well. Now, I would also like to scheme up some better ways to get this run going. You know what I mean? Like, we just keep basically lining up in the eye and then just running up the middle into a wall. One thing I really liked was when we had that play where we basically shovel past it kind of to Leonard Fournette to get him kind of on the edge. We need to work more horizontally, because running up the middle, you know, I feel like if we were to open it up and run more horizontally, that's what's going to open up that downfield run game, as they're going to be on their heels, and all of a sudden you'll have Leonard Fournette and Tommy Bohannon run up the middle. And then last week we saw Blake Bortles basically run for like 88 or 89 yards. More rusher yards than his passing yards. And I think that we should definitely run Blake Bortles some more this game. Maybe first play of the game start off with a read option, just because I would like for Blake Bortles to maybe get hit on a run early, just to get all the nerves out of him. Just because it looked like he had some jitters last game against the Bills. And, you know what I mean, once you get hit, I feel like a lot of that kind of gets out of you, and then you start playing more loosely. And if we can get Blake Bortles to play loose, that'll be key. Now, on the defensive side of the ball, I would really love, I mean, it's going to be a crazy matchup between the #1 cornerback in the NFL, Jalen Ramsey, and the #1 wide receiver in the NFL, Antonio Brown. Now, last time we played them, Jalen Ramsey did not really shadow and follow around Antonio Brown the whole game. But the first half of the season, we really didn't do that much. You know what I mean? Like, the first game of the season, he did not follow Hopkins. And, you know, that game, he didn't follow Antonio Brown. But lately, you're seeing them follow a lot more. So I think that that'd be awesome if we could get Jalen Ramsey to follow around Antonio Brown this game. And then if you had probably A.J. Bouye follow around Juju Smith-Schuster, I think that'll be key. Now, you know, if he moves to the slot, then you know, I mean, I would let Colvin cover the slot guy, just because AJ Bouye does not really cover the slot too much. But one thing I really want is I want Jalen Ramsey to stick on Antonio Brown, because they are going to be targeting Antonio Brown, and Jalen Ramsey is the best cornerback in the NFL, so let him guard him. And I also think this game that they are going to be trying to get Le'Veon Bell really involved. So we need Miles Jack and Telvin Smith to be on their A games and be able to stop him in the run and stop them in the pass. And that was a big reason why the Steelers lost to the Jaguars last time, is they went away from Le'Veon Bell. Le'Veon Bell was doing good early on in the game, but in the second half, for whatever reason, they stopped letting him run, and that's what ultimately, besides Ben Roethlisberger's 5 interceptions, ultimately led them to lose the game. Now, some keys or things I would like the Jaguars to do this game is get some pressure on Ben Roethlisberger early. You know, he's a guy that likes to hold the ball a little bit to let the deep ball open up. And we're a team that, I believe we lead the NFL in sacks, but, you know, we get in there quick and we are able to get in there with 4-man pressures and cause havoc on a quarterback. And if we can get some pressure on this guy and potentially force him to do a turnover, get our offense in good field position, that could be huge for our team. Another key is that we have like the best scoring defense in the NFL. So why don't we go in there and score on defense? You know, whether it be through a pick six, whether like a strip sack fumble kind of thing. Let's let our defense put some points on the board, because who knows if our offense is going to be able to get that many points just due to how cold it's going to be there. The Jaguars have not played very well in the cold, and definitely they haven't been playing very well during the cold this season. And another key, like I alluded to earlier, I think we're going to need to pass to set up the run, because our run game, quite frankly, is broken. It sucks. You know what I mean? We may be leading the NFL in rushing, but we also lead the NFL in rush attempts. So, you know, we've seen Blake Bortles be able to, you know, when you put him back on first down, throw early, you know, pick up 5-6 yards, whatever. He just plays a lot more of a rhythm, and we need Blake to play with a rhythm and play with confidence if we want to win this game. Now, I said all season long, we could take it really far with, having a really, really good defense and a really, really good run game. But we don't have a good run game anymore. So we're going to have to get some points through Blake Bortles' arm, which is definitely worrisome. But, I'm going to have all hope that we can do it. Now, we're going to have a completely different game plan than we did last week. It just seemed like last week, I think they sat down and looked at it and said, hey, the Bills' offense just is not very good. You know what I mean? If we can just put Jalen Ramsey on Kelvin Benjamin, shut him down, be able to contain Tyrod Taylor, not let him get a lot of yards, and be able to, lock down LaShawn McCoy, we will be able to win this game. And, you know what I mean? Basically, those things led to the Bills only scoring 3 points, and the offense really only had to manage, 2 scoring drives. This game is going to be totally different. The Steelers are far, far better on offense than the Jaguars are. And, I really think the Jaguars are going to have to score at least 20 points if they want to beat the Steelers. And, you know what I mean? Scoring 10 points ain't going to beat this team. So I do expect Nathaniel Hackett to be a lot more aggressive this game. Now, one thing I like more about this game than last week's game against the Bills is it seems like all the pressure is now on Pittsburgh. Last week it felt like, the Jags were the home team. Everybody was picking the Jaguars to win, and they were just desperately wanting to just win one playoff game. And now we have that playoff game under our belt. Now we're going into here as the underdog, and I just really feel like the Jaguars play the best when they're in that underdog role. And I think a lot of the pressure is on Pittsburgh because, they already lost to the Jaguars this year. They're the home playoff team that the fans all expect Super Bowl or bust when it comes to them. Ben Roethlisberger obviously threw 5 interceptions against the Jaguars last time they played. Obviously the worst game of his career, and who knows, if we can force like a strip sack or an interception on him, it all might go right back to his head because the dude is just a drama queen, you know what I mean? And I just hope that we can get into his head and that starts affecting his play. And I expect our defense to have its best game of the season this game, just because they know that this game is going to be won through them. And when this defense plays inspired, they play scary and they just play lights out. And I think that their goal is to just be able to lock these guys down, suffocate them, and make them score as little amount of points as possible. Now, I know Mike Tomlin and a lot of the Steelers players have openly said that it's going to come down to the Patriots and the Steelers, but you still have the Jaguars in your way, so you're going to have to take care of business of us first. And I can tell you all of the Jaguars' focus is on Pittsburgh, and it's on to beat Pittsburgh. So, we're coming in locked in, and I don't know how locked in the Steelers are this game. So that about wraps it up. Like I said, Blake Bortles is going to be heavily involved in this game. But, however, if Leonard Fournette can come out there and really run the ball well, and if our offensive line can run block well, we can hopefully be able to take this over. But, there are a lot of Blake haters and critics out there, but I got my man's back, and, I really hope that he can come through and prove a lot of his doubters wrong. So with all that said, thank you guys so much for watching my video. If you enjoyed it, be sure to give it a thumbs up. And this is UC at Jaguar with GenJag.com. Go Jags, and let's go beat the Pittsburgh Steelers on Sunday.
Oh, Joe, that ain't good enough. Come on, Joe. Thank you, baby.